Welcome back. Thanks preemptively for clicking that subscribe button. I love you. If you have not clicked that subscribe button, my love is conditional, so click that subscribe button so that I can love you too. We're back for another 40 for 40, which is it's just a fancy way of saying I'm turning 40 this year, and I'm reviewing 40 films that I love. I'm trying to do all with audio description. I'm also trying to represent as many streaming services as possible, which makes it really hard because some streaming services, like Peacock, which I've reviewed 2 titles from, really seem to not support audio description for titles that they should. Hulu, I just kind of gave up, and I just picked one. Hulu doesn't add audio description to anything that's not a Hulu original, so I can't say that there's a Hulu original that's like a desert island film for me, which is essentially what this list is. So I just picked a film that was on Hulu that is a desert island film for me. So this is Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. I love this film. And it's on Hulu. It does not have audio description. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of that as the review progresses, but if you've not seen this, you should. It's The Lonely Island. This bombed at the box office, and I do not know why. It's been kind of like a little cult hit that's kind of floated around, a little like another Andy Samberg film, Hot Rod, that he was in back in the day. Anyway, this is, it's just, it wasn't big at the box office. I think it opened to like $5 million and it just like faded away. I don't think people understood what it was that they were going to watch, and they just kind of gave up. I think it's hilarious. I think the music in here is hilarious. If you liked the stuff that Lonely Island did in their tenure at Saturday Night Live, like Dick in a Box, then this is absolutely right up your alley. I would recommend that if you catch it, if you have the ability to catch it, if it's on a streaming service where it has audio description, this is better. There are several reasons for this, because there are a lot of random testimonials. It's sort of like it's a little bit of a documentary in that it feels like a camera crew is following Andy Samberg's Connor for real around. And there's also these little interjections from celebrities who are playing themselves. People like Usher talk about how this Connor character influenced them. Basically, like, Connor is, in this universe, he's like he's a massive star. Part of it is because he came out of a boy band, the Style Boys, and they had a massive hit song called Donkey Roll, which keeps getting brought up throughout the course of the movie. And it feels a little bit like Justin Timberlake leaving NSYNC, which is hilarious that Justin Timberlake is in this. Of course he's in this, because he was a Dick in a Box. So you would know that Justin Timberlake was in this. He's not in a very big showy role. He does get to do a little bit more towards the end, which he gets really excited about. But he just kind of plays the chef that gets really excited. I love the scene where he has cut carrots into different shapes for Connor, because that's the kind of person Connor is. There's so many great jokes in this entire thing, and the music is just like, I die every time this music just like the Fuck Bin Laden song is just, it's so ridiculous. Even the songs that are supposed to be offensive are like offensively hilarious. His song about his social awareness song about being gay, and is like, gay, I'm not gay, but if I was, I'd love who I wanted to. And then he just keeps saying, like, I'm not gay throughout like the whole song, and it's hilarious. And then he just starts listing like random things that he thinks are masculine, and those are the best parts. He has so many times where he just like lists random things in songs, and they don't even make sense. He's there's a thing that he's famous for, that he jumped in on somebody else's album and he did a phrase that was just a whole bunch of catchphrases. He did a little verse that was just a bunch of catchphrases like strung together. And he does that a lot. He has a song called These Are the Things in My Jeans. And he's just like lists things, you know, he's just like listing things. Anyway, it's such a brilliant film, and I love it. And I saw this when I could see, prior to my blindness, and since then, obviously, I've had to listen to it a lot. The funny thing about Popstar, though, is that I have the album like on my phone, and I listen to the album a lot. So there's a difference between me watching the movie and me putting the Popstar songs on so that I can giggle to them. It's sort of like a modern day Weird Al. Like, I remember as a kid listening to Weird Al Yankovic songs and being like, this is really funny. You know, I get the joke. That's how I feel like Popstar. And I feel like that hasn't really been done before. I think Lonely Island has missed their calling and not doing what Trey Parker and Matt Stone did by coming up with a Broadway musical. I would love it if Lonely Island wrote a Broadway musical. I think it would probably be the funniest thing that they could possibly do, would be to write a Broadway musical. I know that their style is not necessarily Broadway, but you pair them with somebody maybe who is a little Broadway, sort of like how, again, Trey Parker and Matt Stone brought in Robert Lopez. And I think you guys could really, I think they could come up with something that is just really hilarious. Just damn funny. This movie is perfection. This movie is hilarious. There's nothing in this film that doesn't work for me. He picks up this hunter who's his opening act, who's played by Chris Redd. And this movie came out before Chris Redd joined Saturday Night Live. So the funny thing was, I knew who Chris Redd was when he joined Saturday Night Live, because I was like, it's the guy from Popstar. And he was hilarious on Popstar. My favorite part is when Connor is upset because he's going 30 minutes over and he keeps cutting. He's like, when's he gonna stop? And then it keeps cutting to him on stage. He's like, I'm never stopping. I'm never leaving this stage. He's just like shouting out to the fans. Everything in this film is so silly. It's such a belly laugh. It's such a good time at film. There are some sight gags that don't work because there's no audio description. So I do have to address that. Again, I knew there wouldn't be, because Hulu just refuses to seek out audio description for anything that's not a Hulu original. So they were never interested in finding an audio description track for Popstar. There could be, they could have been given the audio description track to Popstar, and I'm pretty certain they would have not uploaded it. I think that's where I'm at with Hulu. That's how little I think they actually care about audio description. It really is disheartening over there. But the same thing could be said for Peacock, which seems to not be interested in any Universal title that was not made in the last 3 years. So, yeah, we have a long fight ahead of us, which is why I do this every single day. I come in and talk about audio description, talk about why we need it, talk about what's missing. This film, it's hard to really quantify certain scenes, like Connor's wedding with the wolves, and how he thinks that releasing these wolves or having these wolves, and they're being disrupted by Seal, and then they get angry and they break away, and Connor makes it to the car, and then Seal's at the door, and then the wolf gets there, and it's stuff that you can't see. Is when people are getting taken down by the wolves in this sort of like massacre at Connor's wedding. There's also a really long bit that you pick up on as a visual audience long before Connor does. And I will say that eventually he does address what's happening. but he's having a really long talk where he's bragging to Lawrence, who's one of the former members of the Style Boys, and he's bragging to him about how awesome it is and how these fans and the fans have swarmed the car, and he thinks that there's a pair of breasts on the other side of the glass that he keeps pointing to, but it's a penis that's right up next to the glass. It's rubbing right up next to Connor's face, and he's saying a lot of like double entendre, like innuendo things that make it really funny. Like he's like, and I'm just here slurping it up, and he has no idea what's right behind him. So that's kind of the joke, is when he goes to roll the window down, like he thinks he's about to sign a pair of breasts, and it's a penis, and he goes ahead with it, and because like the guy's wife is there, and she's like, it's my husband's penis, can you make it out to Tiffany, or something like that, and then he's frantically putting hand sanitizer on his hands afterwards, and it's stuff like that. It's like, that's a sight gag. And there are so many like little sight gags in this that you just don't get. It's really hard to talk about like how ridiculous that helmet looks when they bring it in. There are so many times. There's the scene where he's trying to do a magic trick, but it fails, and he had to tuck his penis in order to make that happen, and so everybody thinks he looks like a Ken doll, basically, and it shows, I mean, like, it doesn't, and he's trying to like hide, and he's like, nobody look at me, yeah, so this does have a serious amount of sight gags in here that just do not work if you don't have audio description. Most of this works though, because most of it is lyrics. Most of this is just Andy Samberg's Connor being a dumbass and and doing really ridiculous shit. And also, I'm here for the song lyrics. So this is one of those weird films where I'm not going to say it's unwatchable. I'm going to say the experience is hampered, certainly, by it. But most of what you're showing up for are the songs, which will make you laugh. And I don't know that there's anything necessarily special. I mean, they all kind of look like overblown music video versions of what those songs might look like. But like, the sight gags in those are kind of what are in the lyrics. So when he's singing about the things in my jeans, it's he's telling you what was there. It's really not that complicated. So it's a fine line, and I don't always do this, but I am going to. I'm gonna give Popstar a grade. I'm here to love all over it and say that it's one of my favorite films of all time. I do wish Hulu would take audio description seriously, which is why I'm going to continue to review and call out Hulu until the end of time, until streaming wars go down. I'm young. I can do this all the time. I just need subscribers. I need to be at like way more so that Hulu notices and gets annoyed by me. So there we go. Please add audio description to this film. Try to watch it with audio description. But I will say that Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, is a very underrated comedy, and it is part of my 40 for 40, and I'm going to give it an A+. I love this. I have the soundtrack, and it makes me giggle all the time. It's funny how a film, like, the jokes still work. I still giggle, and I've heard them, I don't know how many times. Every time I hear that fucking Bin Laden song, I'm like, how did they put this in here? Like, where did they come up with the idea for this? Um, it's so funny. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I do have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me. You can go there. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what is audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org for a film that does have audio description. Look it up and see who does the narration. Anyway, that's it for me today. I will review something else for you guys and catch you on the other side.